Hey everyone, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to Wake Up Wednesdays. So wake up. These Wake Up Wednesdays are an opportunity for us to reinvigorate one another and recalibrate towards our plan. And the way that we do that is we pick up our GSD list right here that we keep in our notes next to us. We write our outcomes that we want to achieve every single day on the left-hand side. And then we map out all the things we need to do towards the attainment of those outcomes. And if we're not doing that, what we're doing is we're just going from meeting to meeting to meeting, and we have multiple calls building up, multiple pings, multiple queries. The day becomes a blur, and we never really get anything done towards our outcomes. So, welcome to Wake Up Wednesdays and Wake Up. Remember to write down your outcomes and track towards your outcomes. I want to talk to you guys today about an article that I posted in the group chat. I'm going to check my notes here to make sure that I don't miss any of the important details because the article I posted was entitled, How Will You Prepare for Your First Offsite of the Year? So let me ask you guys, how will you prepare for your first offsite of the year? Because your first offsite is the cornerstone for alignment and momentum, and how you conduct one is going to set the stage for the rest of the year. So you might be thinking, why does your first offsite matter? It matters because it's not just another meeting in another fancy location, whether you stay on site or you actually go off site, but it's a way to align your team's objectives with the overall organization's goals so that they're aligned. It's a way to strengthen team cohesion so the team feels bonded. And it's a way to inspire and have creative problem solving. So where people are interacting with each other, we're discussing real problems and they're coming up with real solutions in a creative way. And like we said, it's going to set the tone and expectations for the rest of the year. So, as always, let's break this down into the top four key categories of things you want to think about, the do's and the don'ts. The first question you want to ask yourself is, what will make the agenda flow? What will make the agenda flow? So do make sure you define clear goals. You start with outcomes in mind. So what do you want to achieve? When you're mapping things out on a whiteboard, and I recommend whiteboards and then transferring things digitally, or if you're using a digital whiteboard in Confluence, which is really excellent, but automatically transfer into Jira for you so that there's less administrative work. But I like to work on a whiteboard, a tangible one. You start with the end goals in mind. And what you want to say is, how do we get here? How do we get to this end goal? Now, you might need to work with everyone to define what that end goal is first, but you really want to draw that and map that out first. You want to include a mix of activities, and you want to balance strategic discussions with team building exercises, moments for reflection, and you want to switch it up throughout the agenda so that people don't get bored or they don't get too in depth in discussion for strategy or they don't spend too much time in team building exercises. So it's a good mix of both. Generally speaking, I will start off with a team building exercise wrapped around an outcome, and then we'll go into strategic discussions. We'll update the boards a little bit, and then back into a team building exercise. And that's the rhythm in which that I tend to do offsites, but you need to do what's best for you. So do not, here's some things you don't want to do. You don't want to overload the schedule. You don't want it to be too jam-packed because then it'll feel very monotonous. It'll feel very regimented and people will not look forward to it. It'll feel just like another all-day meeting they have to attend. And you don't want to neglect stakeholder input or the input from people. People are saying things to you like, I think we need more breaks. I think we need less strategy discussions. I think we need more interactive team building exercises. I think we need more stickies. I think we need better food. I heard it all, believe me. Those little things that they say are important. I had people complain one time we didn't have enough vegan and vegetarian options at an offsite we did that was catered by a third party caterer who said that they would take care of our needs. And I guess that they didn't have enough vegan and vegetarian options. I'm not a vegan or a vegetarian, so I didn't notice, but it was something that they complained about. The rest of the offsite went perfect. We were on time, on budget, everything was great, but they complained that there weren't enough menu items for them. So don't ignore the small feedback from stakeholders. Whatever it is that they're saying, pay attention, report it, and if you can adjust it and fix it before the offsite ends, do that. So as we said in the beginning of this year, we're also going to talk about a spotlight. So for each of these key four categories, we're going to think about, we're also going to think about a spotlight on AI. So the first AI tool I want to draw your attention to is ChatGPT, and how you can use ChatGPT if you have voice mode. I actually have that mode. I have professional mode. You put it on voice mode and you just start asking it questions and you engage with it like you would a very sophisticated person. So you might say something like, I'm working on an offsite for a cloud migration. I'm working on an offsite for a new client endeavor. I'm working on an offsite to roll out AI in my company. Can you help me generate a dynamic agenda for ideas? Can you give me some examples for team building exercises, et cetera, et cetera? It's very powerful. You should use it. The second question you want to ask yourself, the second key category is, how will the right location set the tone? If you do an offsite and you take everybody to the beach and you're doing drinks, that's going to set a very different tone than if you say, all right, guys, we're going to book this conference room in Midtown Manhattan, and we're going to be inside of the 50th floor of this conference room for 3 days, or maybe something in the middle. But thinking about the location and how the location sets the tone is very important. You want to select a place that's going to inspire people to be comfortable, but also that's going to promote creativity. You want good lighting, open spaces, minimal distractions. If you do this out in a public setting, there's going to be a lot of distractions. People are going to be looking all around at all these other people. If you have more of an enclosed kind of setting that people are comfortable, it's going to limit distractions. Ensure accessibility. You never know who in the team may need accessible options, wheelchairs, things like that. You want to make sure that you take care of everyone's needs and that you don't make anyone feel like they're not included. So here are some things you don't want to do. You don't want to go overboard on cost. So this does not need to cost a lot of money. You don't need to say, what's the most expensive hotel in downtown New York, and we're going to rent out 2 floors of this hotel for a couple of days. You don't need to be overly flashy. You need a good room where people are comfortable. You need a good whiteboard, maybe even a good screen sharing where you can do a digital whiteboard, maybe some name tags. Low tech is better, and don't ignore logistics. If you know you're going to need to use some screen sharing options, make sure the Wi-Fi in the room works, make sure you have the right cables. You can have all that stuff tested. Generally speaking, when I do my offsites, I show up the day before with the tech. I work with the tech to actually map that stuff out, and then I'll come an hour before the offsite starts and I'll do it again. Because when I was a kid and I was putting myself through college, I would actually build the smart boards and build the smart rooms and set them up. So I work with the tech to make sure that that's set up properly. The AI tool spotlight you want to think about for this is like we're doing now. You want to use Zoom's AI companion. So if everyone is using Zoom and you have your own Zoom professional account like I do, you can use Zoom's AI companion. And where that's beneficial is if someone needs to leave, or if someone needs to say, hey, I need to go pick up my kid, I'll be back in 2 hours, or if someone excuses themselves, they can come back in, they can quietly chat to Zoom's AI companion, what did I miss? And it'll give them real-time updates. So if you have Zoom going on in the background, even if you're doing things in the room physically with some people digitally, so I'm in New York. If I'm working with people in London and I got a room full of people in New York and a couple of people in London, a couple of people in India, and people coming and going, and Zoom's going in the background, and the AI companion's listening to it all, they can chat to the companion. The companion will let them know what they missed. The other great thing about the companion, it's going to automatically summarize the key points from the offset. Now, what you want to be careful here is you don't want to just take that verbatim. You want to make sure you have someone in the team go through that summary and make adjustments and edit it and really highlight the key things so you don't overload the details. Don't just take it for what it is. Use it as a first draft, and then you be the editor. The third category, the third question you want to ask yourself is, what does effective facilitation and collaboration look like? What does effective facilitation and collaboration look like? So if you closed your eyes and you played out the offsite going in your mind, and everything worked perfectly, and all of the stakeholders were happy, and you got to the end of the year and you delivered everything you wanted to deliver on time, on budget, what would that collaboration look like? So in order to do this in the offsite, the first thing you're going to do is cover logistics. Number one, you're going to set some ground rules. You can say, these are the norms. This is how we're going to participate. This is how we're going to respect each other to make sure that everyone has an opportunity. So I have a couple rules when I do an offsite. One of the rules I have is there is no such thing as a bad opinion, a bad idea. And you can throw as many objections as you want when we're creatively problem solving. For every one objection you throw out, you have to throw at least two viable solutions. Now, a viable solution isn't, well, let's just roll out this $5 million piece of technology if that's not in our budget. It's not a viable solution. So you're allowed to throw out challenges. But every challenge, you have two viable solutions. The other rule I have is you can never, ever cut someone off unless you're the facilitator. So unless you're me, unless you're the PM standing in the front of the room, you're not allowed to cut someone else off. The facilitator in the room, if someone's going and they're a little long-winded and they're talking too much, as the facilitator, we are trained. We know how to naturally get the conversation back to the group. No one else is allowed to cut anyone else off. That ensures everyone's being heard. Very important. Number two, we want to leverage structured techniques. So we're going to use frameworks like right here, the Bono 6 thinking hats. This is the blue hat from the Bono 6 thinking hats. Bonus points for anyone who can tell me what the blue hat means. You can leave that in the comments. Don't. These are things you're not going to do. Do not dominate the conversation. Do not allow anyone in the group to dominate the conversation. I will say this is a phrase that I am known for. Your title entitles you to nothing. Your title entitles you to nothing. So if you walk into the offsite and you're like, I'm the biggest director here, I'm the CEO, I'm the yada, 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 I'm going to talk over everyone, I'm going to minimize everyone else's ideas. No domination, no entitlements, no dictation. This does not facilitate an opportunity for us to creatively problem solve, and it does not build cohesive teams. So no one's going to be allowed to do that. The way that I do this is I tell everyone to take out a sticky or a name tag, and I tell them to write their title on a sticky. And one of the first exercises we do is everyone holds up their title and everyone sees their titles and their fancy letters next to their name. And then I tell them to rip it up and throw it out. And I tell them to leave their titles at the door. The reason why they're here is to contribute. The next thing you don't want to do not want to skip icebreakers. Icebreakers are very important, even if you're working with a team that's been together for 5 years. Icebreakers are a great way for people to engage and get to know things about each other that they've never known before. My favorite icebreaker is a play on an old school project management style or technique, which is called hopes and fears. But I don't do hopes and fears, I do hopes and heroes. What I say to everyone is, we're going to go around the room, we're going to talk about what our hope to get out of this offsite is, and who our hero is. People say superheroes, people say their kids, their parents, they say really interesting things, and they tell why this person's their hero. And it's better to do hopes and heroes than hopes and fears. Fears is a very negative way to do an icebreaker, and you want to stay away from that. So what's the AI Spotlight tool for this? Microsoft Copilot. Microsoft Copilot is a great way to start to categorize who's in the meeting, what's their job in the meeting, not their title, who's their favorite hero. So Copilot can just start pumping all that information into a Word document or into an Excel document for you. So that's your AI tool Spotlight. The last question, the fourth question, and the fourth category you want to ask yourself is, what will you do to align actionable next steps? What will you do to align on actionable next steps? You never, ever want to leave the offsite without clear, concise, actionable next steps. So you're going to make sure you summarize their outcomes. After every single section in the offsite, okay, guys, this is the summary. This is the recap of the decisions. This is the recap of the open questions. These are the priorities. Here are the next steps. You want to take all those and put them on a big board. So at the end, when you do that summary and then you translate that all into Jira, everyone is clear on what they're walking away with. And bonus points if you can assign owners. If you're able to actually get people to commit and say, yes, my team will handle this, or yes, I'll do it. The reason why I say bonus is, in my opinion, in my experience, and I've been doing offsites for over 10 years, at least once, twice a year, very difficult to get people to actually own up to things. You don't want to volunteer everyone. So if you can get actionable owners on that, or even soft deliverables, that's great. Do not. Here's some things you don't want to do. Don't leave it without clarity, without momentum. Otherwise, people are going to walk away from the offsite. They're going to say, yeah, that was a great offsite, but then it's back to business as usual and nothing gets done. You want to have those visuals from the physical whiteboards in the room and then transfer all that digitally. If you're already starting with the digital whiteboard in Confluence, you can automatically import that to Jira. So the AI tool Spotlight for you guys here is Atlassian's Rovo. Atlassian's Robo can help you to categorize all that stuff and really get it into Jira. And make sure that you do not forget to schedule post offsite check-ins. So if you really want to be super smart, super savvy with this, when you schedule the offsite, 5 minutes after you schedule the offsite, you schedule the follow-ups. You schedule the one-to-ones with people. So that when people walk away from the offsite, they say, when are we going to talk again? You say, it's already on your calendar. It's already set up. It's already done. You can even review that on the big screen and say, here's the calendar of when we're going to meet again and when we're going to talk about these next steps. That's going to really take the stress off of everyone's mind because they're going to know you have it under control. Guys, even if they think that you're an idiot, even if they say he has no idea what he's talking about, if you walk away from the offsite with clear outcomes, clear actionable steps, clear owners, and you show them the calendar of when exactly you're going to follow up, even if they don't like you, they're going to love it because you're taking all of the stress out of the process and you're saying this is one less thing you have to worry about. I will take care of it. And that's a big part of your job. So as always, let's wrap this up to go like a great New York deli. Let's wrap this up to go. Your first offsite is more than just another meeting in a new place. It's the foundation for your team's year. You want to set the focused agenda, choose an inspiring location where people feel comfortable, facilitate collaboration, and align on clear actions to drive success. As Marcus Aurelius reminds us, what stands in the way becomes the way. What stands in the way becomes the way. Make the offsite your way forward. Ace the offsite. Do not let this be something that you're worried about. This is an opportunity to drive success, and that's your job. So what's your call to action? Your call to action is 3 very important things. Number 1, start drafting that agenda of what's going to be in the offsite. Start scheduling those offsite follow-ups and make sure the outcomes are clear. Number 2, book a location ahead of time so that people feel comfortable and it promotes creativity and it reduces distractions. Number 3, use AI to help you. You do not need a whole team of people to help you conduct an offsite anymore. You can have an AI assistant do the majority of the heavy lifting for you, so use those tools. My personal favorite tool for this is going to be Microsoft Copilot. So you can take a lot of that documentation, have it in Copilot, and then port it over into Jira, maybe even using Atlassian's Robo. All right, guys, so here's to alignment and a year of momentum and impact. Okay, awesome. Thank you guys so much for the opportunity to think about how you're going to conduct the first offsite of the year. And I hope that you enjoyed these Wake Up Wednesdays. So wake up, remember to hustle harder, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.